I'd like to bring up the Roman Empire. Think about Alexander and his empire. Think about the Mongolian Empire, the Great Khans. They're the best you can hope for if there is no objective moral values, in the sense that they are powers that tame the world and made it safe for certain travel, like the Persian Empire, the Mongolian Empire, the Roman Empire. What they did, what more than just conquer, was they made it safe in some sense or another. They tamed the world. But how did they tame the world? They tamed the world by defeating their enemies, subjugating them, putting them in a position where they had to do what they were expected to do based on the rules of that particular empire, or else they would be destroyed, right? What you were just touching on, I think, was what I was thinking about right before you started to talk about, which is such a beautiful thing. The way that Jesus waged war on the world was to win people, right? I mean, it was to fight for people. He didn't fight for real estate. He didn't fight for borders. He fought for people. And that's the difference between the way that those wars are waged. The best you can hope for outside of that type of Christian worldview or understanding of the equal dignity of other human beings is that a somewhat benevolent power will come into place and will hold back or restrict the evil actions of other individuals based on a pure power principle, a principle of reciprocity. You do bad, you will pay for it. And then Jesus comes along and says, we're going to wage war by winning them, by go out and get them. They are what matters. They are the prize that I sought through the cross and the resurrection. And that changes the dynamic of how we fight. And I am disturbed by how many Christians have bought into this idea of seeing our ideological or political enemies as the bad guys to be roundly defeated, and to see them only in a negative light when I am a bad guy. I was the bad guy. I was on the other side of all of this. And it wasn't through somebody coming along and some ultra powerful dude coming along and putting me in my place. It was through a recognition of all that was good in this world and that I could be in some way in relation to it. That was a huge deal to me, was to recognize. And Kirillov, I mentioned him earlier in Dostoevsky, he actually says something like this when he says, because I went through, I think, the same thing, but came out of a different answer. Kirillov saw Jesus, and he said, there was the only good thing that's ever existed in this world, and we killed it. And so he sees that as such a condemnation on the world that he can't bring himself to want to live any longer. And that's where he comes to this desire to kill himself as an expression of his freedom. For me, when I saw the only good thing I'd ever truly seen in this world, which was when I finally saw Christ, that's the way I felt about him. The first truly, honestly good thing I'd ever genuinely seen and understood its goodness, right? This is more than just love of a puppy or something where you see something cute. This is more than seeing a landscape and saying it's beautiful. This was seeing a human being and saying they are good. They are good in a way that I didn't even know existed prior to seeing them. The response for me, unlike Kirillov, which was to kill himself because he condemned the world for destroying it, was to see him and to think, I want to be with him. Right? I mean, I want to be with him. He's what I want to. If I'm going to have to be committed to something for the rest of my life, it's that guy right there. That's what I'm going to be committed to. He's better than anything I've ever seen, better than any person I've ever heard of. He gets my commitment from here on out. And because of that, there is to me this pain that I feel when I see people buying into this idea that we have to destroy our political enemies or the people that are against us, and I understand where it comes from, because they see great evil being done in the world and they just want somebody to bring justice or to stop it or to limit it. And they know in their mind that the person that's going to be able to limit that has got to be somebody powerful and somebody that's willing to stand up and speak out against it. And they're looking for somebody tough, where when we're looking for is the living, I've already got my guy to do that. And that's Jesus, and he's still alive. And so all I need for it to get in line with him and to reach them in that way. I want, for me, the rest of my life has been in ministry to try to treat the people that I'm talking to the way I hope somebody would have treated me when I occupied their space, because they recognized one person specifically recognized that Jay Watts, if he ceases to believe what he does and begins to believe in Christ, could be a force for good. he doesn't just have to be an enemy to defeat it. He is a potential ally to do great things. And they told me that one time, and I thought, you're crazy. I'll never believe what you believe. That's nuts. But they're like, no, no, no. I see in you someone who could do so much good in the world. And I get emotional just thinking about that now, because I owe so much of the good that I've experienced in my life to one Christian who saw me not as an enemy to defeat it, but as a possible ally for good in this world, that all I needed was to be able to see goodness. And that's the way Christianity fights. That's the way that we wage war on evil. That people are not to be defeated. We're not to be defeated. We're not to defeat other human beings with with good arguments. We're not beating them down. We're winning people with good arguments by being the people that we ought to be in Christ.